Spokesperson report 426 in front of the White House 79. Biden administration must dismantle the aggressive trilateral alliance among the U.S., Japan, and South Korea and must withdraw the U.S. troops from South Korea. First, the U.S. South Korea foreign minister repeatedly insisted on reinforcing of the trilateral alliance between the U.S., Japan, and South Korea. On June 12, the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, and South Korean Foreign Minister Chung emphasized the U.S., Japan, and South Korea cooperation in the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, saying the U.S. South Korea alliance is a key pillar of peace, security, and prosperity in Northeast Asia, the Indo-Pacific, and beyond. Ely Ratner, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of Defense for Indo-Pacific Affairs, said on June 16 that the U.S. Japan-South Korea trilateral cooperation is a central element of the strategy toward North Korea. Cooperation and intelligence sharing between the three countries are key to North Korea's ability to repel ballistic missiles. The U.S., Japan, and South Korea will hold a meeting of trilateral consultations and North Trip nuclear negotiator talks during the visit of Sung Kim, who is the U.S. State Department's special representative for North Korea. Second, the U.S. Japan-South Korea alliance started by the Biden administration is an aggressive alliance against North Korea in essence. In particular, the U.S.-Japan alliance is a military collusion and a political conspiracy to realize the U.S. strategy of domination in Asia-Pacific and Japan's ambition to dominate Northeast Asia. In time for the U.S.-Japan summit last April, Japanese ground self-defense forces conducted various military exercises, such as announcing the plan of field training exercise with multinational forces, including the U.S. forces. In May, the unmanned aerial vehicle of the U.S. forces were deployed in Japan under the pretext of North Korea's illegal transshipment at the sea. The U.S. Missile Defense Agency announced that the U.S., Japan, and South Korea will hold a missile-warning nuclear war exercise against North Korea in August next year under the guise of the missile threat of North Korea. The U.S. and Japan are plotting to involve South Korea in irrational acts that provoke the war against North Korea. Third, as the U.S.-Japan-South Korea alliance is strengthened, the peace and security of the Korean Peninsula and the world will be exhaustively destroyed. The imperialist aggressive versus U.S. troops are the main culprit of national division and the roots of the division of Korea. Likewise, Japanese militaristic forces have their rooted in the Japanese imperialism aggressive forces that have committed various crimes against humanity, such as Japanese military sexual slavery and forced labor, fantasizing the delusional about the Greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere in the Japanese occupation period. The U.S.-Japan's dark intention is reflected in the broken inter-Korean relations and imminent war crisis situation. The Biden administration must dismantle the treacherous trilateral alliance among the U.S., Japan, and South Korea that are trying to actualize the nuclear war against North Korea and must withdraw the U.S. troops from South Korea now. Time is never on the side of the U.S. June 19, 2021, in front of the White House, Washington, D.C., Spokesperson Office of the People's Democracy Party.